on your radio here at 105.9 WZTE. Also live on Facebook and on YouTube. We're glad to have with us here the county executive of the County of Erie, Christina Vogel. County executive, good to see you.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us here. Glad you didn't have to dodge too many raindrops, right?
It wasn't so bad.
Good. All right. So yesterday you were in Harrisburg. Looks like a big turnout. I don't even remember quote Erie Day. So what do you know about this? This was the first one?
Yeah, this was the first one. So that's why you don't remember it.
What was the whole point of it? What was the deal?
So this was something that the legislators had discussed, and Infinite Erie really had wanted to spearhead, and that's who did it actually, to get really as many representatives from Erie as possible down to meet with different legislators. So we had 15-minute discussions with people just to introduce them to Erie, to state that we were all on the same page, that we were ready to execute, that we had put this plan together. It was Infinite Erie's playbook.
Were you talking to cabinet members of the Shapiro administration?
So we talked to, leadership in both the Senate and the House, so both sides of the aisle, as well as cabinet members with the Shapiro administration. We had a round table. They said it was the biggest round table they'd ever had in that space, because there was, if you saw the picture, there was a ton of people that came, that was on the bus that went down there, and and they're coming back tonight. I came home last night. I hitched a ride with the Port Erie people, so sure. I got back about midnight.
Oh my gosh! Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you did that all in a whirlwind, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we talk about being that forgotten corner, but I think in more recent years, especially under Governor Shapiro, we're not so much forgotten, because we have. There's a political prowess that we have. We have some swagger when it comes to our political strategery, our strategic nature of our community, but also that the governor's kind of had an outreach to Erie, and it hasn't always been that. I don't feel like Governor Wolf was so attentive to Erie so much, but certainly you go back to the Ridge administration, sure. You go back to Governor Rendell, very much plugged into Erie. And so how as the chief executive officer of the county, how did you feel our story was received?
Yeah, I thought it went well. I know that we are going to debrief, and they want to go back with an ask, right? Because it was more of an introduction. Here's what we're doing. So we're going to come back with an ask. I will tell you what I was most surprised at was how many people like Erie that come up. They have that on their own personal time, right? They come up with family or vacation here or whatever. So that was interesting. That was nice to hear that there was a lot of people in the administration, in state government, in the representatives and Senate that come to Erie to vacation, which is nice.
That is cool. Did you get any sense that some of these junkets that have happened, Representative Bizzarro is the policy chair, and so he's brought the policy committee to Erie, and they get on the trolley from EMTA and visit the beach, and so he really puts on a show. And so all these representatives from Philadelphia or the collar counties are like, I've never been here, but this is cool.
Yeah. That definitely. I do think that is very much what I hear. Even when I was in CCAP, when they talk about because CCAP is coming back next August.
What is that?
It is the County Commissioners Association of Pennsylvania.
Okay.
So it was here a few years ago. It's coming back next August. And they talked about that as well. There's only a handful of places that you want to visit, right? If you're going to go and kind of be treated to a nice environment, and there's nowhere better than in the summer than Erie, I would argue.
Sure.
So, and then, the governor is coming with the premieres in October of next year. So yeah, I do think that we are showcasing ourselves better and hopefully we'll continue to do that.
Speaking of which, again, you're a Democrat, the Democrat spring dinner, I think governor's appearing tomorrow night, right? Yeah. Again, paying attention.
Yep. Yeah. So he will be here in Erie tomorrow night. Yeah.
All right. So really kind of with the playbook, with Infinite Erie, this is where we're getting specific about, okay, here's the kinds of projects that we want to move forward. What would you say maybe got some of the most positive reaction from the folks you were talking to? Were there any specific projects that you guys were able to highlight?
I mean, we talked about 12th Street a lot because we would like to get that over the finish line.
Talking about
Ironworks Square. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that was
something. Still missing some funding?
It's missing finish line funding, I believe, because you'd have to have Tina on to know that. But I mean, they were in the CRIZ, they weren't in the CRIZ. I think it's part of that is why it's so. Yeah, they're looking to finish that up. So that is something that was reoccurring. Mm-hmm. I will say when I met with Senator Ward, who is the pro tem, with Senator Laughlin, she talked very favorably of Senator Laughlin and how he has continued to get resources for Erie between the school district and the CRIZ and different things like that. So I mean, yeah, I think it was very well received that there was so many of us. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was worth it. I never, obviously this is the first time I've ever been down there for something like this, and this is the first one they've had. But we'll see if it makes a difference as the budget season. This is budget season, and so we want to make sure that we get money back to Erie, and we hope that we will do that.
Let me pivot here. Last time you were here, we talked a bit about emergency medical services, right? Mm-hmm. Since then, I've had a couple more conversations. One from West County saying we are in an EMS crisis. One from Perry Wood talking about strategic investments that not only ECRA, the Erie County Gaming Revenue Authority, but the county has made into EMS. Do you feel that is that situation going to need constant feeding and care, like a puppy?
Well, I think that
I'm sorry that I didn't mean to.
No, that's
make
okay.
Light of it.
You have a very disparate system, and I think that is where there's challenges in a variety of areas. Some are better funded than others, right? And you have some that get
it sounds like West County seems to be very stable, and they pay their people
now, but they weren't a few years ago, and now South County is going through a kind of a similar influx, right, that West County went through, and then East County, and then we have the city, and we have emergency care, and we have it's a lot of moving pieces, and there's still a large volunteer fire department still that I think that it's going to be a few years before we get a system that is humming smoothly, but I think that everybody really wants to work towards that goal, and they see the importance of it, and that's good. So
do you again, I'm hearing different opinions about whether there should be a unified approach to this. Perry Wood talked about a confederation almost, that, again, different approaches, but they are aligned insofar as sharing resources and sharing information and so on. I mean, is there a preferred future that you see EMS needing to go, or are you rather have it more organic?
Well, in actuality, the previous administration did do a plan to look at EMS. They spent a lot of time and money putting this together, and that came to an end in in the end of 2024. But I have taken a look at it, and there was a lot of research that Strategy Solutions put into that, and I do think that at least part of it could be utilized as a model going forward that does kind of take into account the variety of partners and the different funding levels, and how can we get an ongoing sustainable model. And so that's something actually that Chris Groner and I are working at right now. And I've met with Deb to kind of go through the project and how can we use this and update this and really tackle this issue and make it sustainable.
Let me make sure I understand. Are all the municipalities in Erie County paying their fair share toward their municipal requirement for basic life support?
Well, I mean, that's the thing, right? Not every single municipality has a mechanism that is costing taxpayers anything, right? So okay. It's varied throughout the county, and
but aren't they required to? They have to offer
the law. Yes, it is the lowest municipality that is required to provide it. but not all of them have it called out on the tax bill or is getting revenue, right? And so again, it just makes this very incongruous system, right? So if you think about Summit, for example, Summit, they take $1 million what they get from having the gaming, the casino there. They use that specifically to fund Perry Highway. Okay, that's completely different than what's happening in West County, where they're charging, I think, $11 a person. That's completely different than what's happening in other locations that aren't charging anything, right? And so, and all of those pieces have to be figured out.
So that's more on the funding side. The service side has to be there, though, right?
The service has to be there, but then that's also part of why mutual aid, why people end up in the wrong locations. Yeah. Yes.
So it's very
complicated.
Needs to be worked on.
Yes. But I do think that I would say that the positive place that we're in is that there's been a lot more awareness. There's been a lot more understanding of the crisis, and a lot of people that are interested in getting to a sustainable solution.
Yeah. I also asked, I think, both guests about statewide solutions. It seems like, again, this is a state mandate that the municipalities have to provide this service, yet it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of cash coming that way.
Right. So actually, when I was, again, going back to CCAP, which is the County Commissioners Association of Pennsylvania, now I'm going to say it again, one of the areas that they were looking at was, could we do a hotel tax of 1% that would go directly to EMS?
Yeah, I think you mentioned that last time too.
That's
a pretty
would
smart
be ideal
approach.
Right.
Again, it does feel like, though, that some municipalities are kind of getting scot-free. You know, if you live way out in the boonies and we're currently not charging you right now, I don't know how fair that is. But we got to get back to more of the county's business with the county executive after the news break. It's Talk Erie and the Joel Natale Show. I appreciate you tuning in to Talk Erie and the Joel Natale Show, live from our Kingdom Financial Group studio here at 5th and State. The county executive, Christina Vogel, is with us on this Tuesday edition. And County Executive, I want to ask you about another conversation that we had here. It is Child Abuse Awareness Month, or Protection Month, I should say, Protection from Abuse. And OCY is an important player in all of that. As you're kind of getting your arms around all of county's business, this is a really important part of county work, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, OCY is the biggest department in DHS, Department of Human Services. So you have the biggest agency in the biggest department, right?
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
So
Office of Children and Youth.
Office
yes.
of Children and Youth. Yeah, it is a huge part of what the county does. And they, it's really challenging work. Sometimes they have to go into people's homes. They have to take kids. Obviously, most parents aren't interested in that outcome. And so, it's very difficult work, but they do an amazing job, and they're providing services. They're connecting the different agencies, trying to get as much help as possible to kids, and prevention as well. I was actually last week at the RACA, which is the riders, the bikers that do a lot of stuff for
against abuse.
Abuse, yeah. Oh my gosh, it was so touching and so moving. And they have this wall out in Green Township where they allowed them to use this wall, and it has 300 names of children that were that are no longer with us because of abuse and neglect, and they were adding 50 more.
Wow.
Yeah, it was so touching. I honestly, in the 4 months that I've been here, it was probably the most moving thing I've been to so far. It was amazing.
Is there anything that we can do on the prevention side? Again, I was talking to the children's advocacy folks, and again, we went over some preventive factors, but as a county, for public information, what can be done, you think?
Actually, I just had a conversation with the mayor about more prevention, and I said the county would absolutely love to do a joint education campaign, to talk about ways to prevent a lot of these things that have happened, because you probably are aware we've lost 9 children so far this year.
I had no
for
idea.
A variety of
Wow.
reasons, 3 in the fire.
Yeah.
But I think that we need to do more.
Were they all in the city?
All in the city.
Wow.
Yes, which is why I was talking to the mayor about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a long, complicated list of issues that contribute to it. That instance, that was a single mother, right? Mm-hmm. That was, I would say, doing the best that she could. And people are working a lot. The daycare is tough. It's a challenging time, I would say, across the county for people.
Does the county have? Because another thing that I talked to Perry Wood about was childcare. Does the county have a role in that childcare solution, you think?
Well, the county with ECRA has given $2.5 million.
I was going to say, there's some big money that went into that, right?
Went into that, yes. So we are aware of that. We do also believe that it's an economic development issue. If people can't get to work because they don't have childcare, that's something that is a real issue for people, and that's why the county council, appropriated the money for that. Mm-hmm. It's, I don't, when you think about the vastness of all the issues that are happening right now, and there's just not enough time or resources to solve them all, right? That's constantly what I feel like every day that I'm up against.
Right. You want to take a phone call? Are you up for one? Grab the headsets there. And let's see if we can bring somebody online here. Hi, you're live with the County Executive, Christina Vogel, here on Talk Erie. Go ahead. Hello? I guess they didn't. Maybe
Change
they
your mind?
maybe they were going to order a pizza from Donato's. What do you think?
Maybe I can make that happen
You
too.
can make.
guess
Come
I'll
on
leave these
now.
on.
You want to leave them on?
Sure.
Okay. How's it sound? Okay to you?
Yeah.
The I'm sorry about that.
That's okay.
They went away. Okay, so you mentioned DHS, and that's kind of the enormity of that kind of work. Let's be clear what you're not in charge of, because you really, the county executive has nothing to do with the election office. Is that accurate or no?
That is true.
All right, just so people are clear, because there's a lot. The election well, not even the election office. The election board, which is made of county council members, is in the news these days.
Yes.
You don't have to comment at all if you don't want to.
Well, here's what I will say. I've been married for 22 years, and we were together for 9 years before that. I learned a long time ago that anything that happens with my husband's side of the family, he deals with.
Okay.
So, and the truth is, I don't know a lot. I mean, I watched the meeting afterwards, because I was at the RACA thing, but clearly there's some legal issues happening with them, and I assume we'll continue to hear more as it develops.
What encouraged me is that there was a true desire that we have the reputation of being the gold standard when it comes to conducting our elections, right?
Yes.
And it encouraged me that hopefully this, even with this unpleasantness, as it were, that will try to maintain that gold standard. Again, I've never heard a complaint. It's always like, well, in other places this happens, but not in Erie, you know, because we seem to have a lot of people that are involved with it. All right.
Can I tell you another area that I was
ahead.
impressed to learn that Erie is really great at? Erie County is really good at tax collection, and that we have a very good relationship with the Tax Collectors Association. I went to one of their meetings a few weeks ago, and they said they constantly hear about issues throughout the state of just fighting and lawsuits and issues.
Just on collecting taxes?
Yeah.
I thought that was a pretty perfunctory role.
Exactly. So you never know. I mean, you never, until something is broken, right? You don't really hear about all the things that are going really, really smoothly. So,
right.
Yeah.
All right. Here's the big kahuna that we mentioned last month, but I'll bring it up this month, and that is the countywide reassessment. There's in social media, it's kind of buzzing right now. Our friend Thomas Laird has done some exceptional work using AI to go down to the census tract level of how taxes are. I think at COVID time, so in 2020, it was already kind of getting late to do a countywide reassessment. It wouldn't have been the appropriate time, but here we are 5 years later. Now, you're brand new on the job. I get it. But what would it take to get the wheel started on what is often a pretty expensive venture, yet it lends to equity and fairness on our tax structure? Because what Tom Laird found is that some of the least valued homes are carrying some of the heaviest percentage burdens of taxes. Did you see any of that reporting by him?
I didn't see that reporting by him, but I am aware of the issue and I understand what you're saying. So what you're right. I've only been this for 4 months, but in talking to a variety of people, it sounds like the cost of doing a reassessment would be between $5 and $15 million.
That's a big spread there.
That's a big spread. And that is from talking to people at CCAP, again, the County Commissioners Association of Pennsylvania, and maybe that's because of size. Mm-hmm. They are going to be lobbying the administration, the Shapiro administration, for funding to help defray those costs. And they also would like the Shapiro administration to do a regular requirement, 10 years, 15 years, whatever that would look like.
Would that take legislation in the General Assembly to do that?
I'm not clear on that.
Okay.
And maybe.
I mean, because again, that we have a cohort from Erie County.
Right. I don't know if that would just be something that they would do. Or
do you feel like again, just from your gut feeling is this a significant need? Do you see that there would be a lot of unfairness going on the longer we hold off on doing reassessment? Because it's supposed to be a net zero to each municipality and to the county.
Right. So you're shifting the burden to where the equity, so those that appreciated in costs would be reassessed and it would be more money. Correct me if I'm wrong, it was the school district that forced it the last time. Is that true? The Erie School District? Because that's
before my time, but well, I mean, not before my living time, but before kind of covering this heavy. Yeah. It probably was the district, the city districts forcing a reassessment. That makes sense to me. Yeah.
I know that there are appeals that happen throughout the county, specifically that school. So Fairview, for example, will ask for a reassessment on property, and that then but those are one-offs. They don't do that for every single property. Those are specific things.
Yeah, those go in front of the assessment board, and they, like you say, an appeal, and they figure out what the number should be on that specific lot, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, countywide reassessment. Again, I don't even know what year it was last time.
2013.
Was it?
Yeah, for Erie County.
Okay. So technically, we're not that far off.
Some of them have been the 60s in counties throughout the Commonwealth. So, yeah, so we're not as bad as some of them.
The issue is that we had a major reshuffling of property values post-COVID, whereas we were always hovering under the state and national averages, for property. And then post-COVID, especially go back to 2024, 2025, and even a bit of now, you still have homes that are selling within hours. Mm-hmm. There's still high demand, low supply, although it seems like it's starting to work itself out this spring. But the last couple springs, I mean, I've had realtors on here. It's like we could never, we're finally getting what we feel like are the true values of these homes, And so, like for a guy like me, where probably my housing value has doubled, I'm not looking forward to having my taxes double, but the fairness of it all, it kind of requires it,
Right. I mean, that's why.
And by the time we got something going, it's going to be 2028 anyway.
I know.
Or 30.
I know. I mean, that's the other reason why the argument is to have it be mandated, timeline, because obviously there are certain groups that are against it, certain groups that are for it, and lots of people dragging their feet. So if there's a mandate, then you just know it's going to happen.
I'm sure the consultants and the calculators will make a fortune once that's mandated, right?
That's true. There'll be a whole cottage industry.
Exactly. Maybe I should jump into that. Oh my gosh. Right. All right. Well, I wanted to ask you, it seems like it's one of those things that is kind of rising with a new administration, especially.
Yeah.
And that's firmly in your seat. Has there been any conversations with council about this yet? Is that anybody from council say, hey, when are we going to do this?
No one from council has. Okay. I haven't had a conversation with anybody from council. Chris Groner and I have talked about it.
Right. Let's talk about health. Again, I don't know, as you're kind of getting your arms around public health and things, now that we're 5 years out of COVID, the tendency would be that we would, really draw down funding and so on. I know a lot of that's been passed through from federal and, grants and so on. Are we properly funding public health, and are there initiatives that you would like to see happen in the health department?
So a couple of things that the state has gotten 193 million from the Rural Health Initiative from the federal level.
Okay.
And I was on a call about that to see how we can advocate for some of those dollars, and in a couple of areas that I think would be helpful. Going back to EMS, so there's a lot of people, because they live so far away from hospitals, that they are getting essentially their health care from EMS paramedics that are coming to help them. And so
that's intense,
isn't it?
Wow.
I know. So but I do think that I sent that information on to a number of organizations to look at how they can try to use that for them to help, offset some of the costs. Also, maternal health, having more access to, especially in the inner city, health, people that need maternal health, right? That aren't getting when they're pregnant. And then there's also a lot when we were down there yesterday, Valar Cush, who's the secretary of Department of Health there, listed 3 different areas that she was focused on. One of those was maternal health. One of those was food as medicine, and I've forgotten the third one. But all 3 of those, I think, were areas that I had written on, like who to give these to, so that we can kind of align and see where there are opportunities. Our health department is trying to get as much, as many dollars as possible, so that they can help the public and kind of change the outcomes for the county. One thing that I learned, actually, the best thing about going down to there is just talking to the other people. I happened to be talking to the mayor, and they have spent an enormous amount of money on GLP. What are those called?
GLP-1s.
Yeah.
Ozempic.
Substantial
type things,
amount.
Yeah. You're talking about for their health care?
For their health care that the city has paid for.
Yeah.
And then Tim Nicastro told us that Erie Insurance learned that they had spent a lot of money on those.
Right.
So my next statement was, I got to find out how much the county's paying for these, because I don't know.
Yeah.
But I mean,
are you self-insured?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I would like to know, but I also would like to know if these are contributing to better outcomes in the future, right? That's the hope, right? That you are, if you're going to be losing weight, that you're going to prevent more costly procedures later. Well,
there is a equation that if the GLPs work on a diabetic, on a type 2 diabetic, their numbers go down, their morbidity goes down, right? And so, you ready to try to take another call here?
Sure.
What do you think? Hi, you're live with the county executive on Talk Erie.
Hey, Joel Shaney, County Executive Vogel. Hey, Joel, we got to get this reassessment done so you can pay your fair share of taxes.
Exactly right.
Yeah. But, hey, I'll be quick. The reason I'm calling, I want to thank the county executive for taking phone calls. I don't know when the last time any elected officials has come on your show and actually took phone calls. So thank you, County Executive Vogel, for that.
You're welcome.
I appreciate that. All right.
All right. Thanks, man. Bye. Yeah, I got to pay my fair share. So
do you want to talk about the tiny structures? That was
gosh, yeah. Yeah, it almost slipped my mind. Okay, this is the Natalie blowback. Seriously, $2 million is what it's going to take to do these?
Yeah.
That just sounds nuts to me.
So let me explain it. Do you have time or do you have to?
Yeah, I do. No,
all right.
Go for it.
My frustration is that I think that people have them in their heads that these are HGTV tiny homes, and they are not, right? So they were built, they are 7. So when I got into office, we requested that the architectures finish the drawings. That they did finish the drawings. We got those to BIU. BIU had a few changes. They approved them with changes, and those changes were they are 7 foot tall. They have to be 9 foot tall for someone to live in them, right? So right now the skirting around the bottom is not treated, and so they are rotting because they're sitting on grass. They don't have floors. They don't have slabs. The wood of the structure is treated lumber, but the skirting isn't. And so every day that they stay there, they're getting worse and worse and worse. So when we went out to see how much would it cost to actually get them into a livable state, so that was to finish them completely, was the $2 million. And the county the county has already put in $800,000.
Wow.
The council had allocated $2 million total. It was $1 million from ARPA dollars. That's where the $800,000 has come from. So there's $200,000 that is still there.
Okay.
Then there was $1 million of gaming money that ECCM. This was money.
There's 25 of these.
There's
right?
25.
Okay.
The $1 million ECCM returned to the county when we weren't going to finish them. So then I and Chris Groner went and talked to municipalities about, okay, well, if they aren't going to be, what are our options? Can we make them market rate housing? Can they be housing that we could have in municipalities that people could buy for market rate? And the problem is that they don't fit because they're 15 of them are 450 square feet and 10 of them are 720 square feet and they're 2 stories. The majority of the municipalities have a minimum square footage requirement, 850 square feet. Some of them are 1,000. And when we talked to them, there wasn't an interest to change them, with the exception of Wesleyville, who just actually changed their ordinance. So now they have no square foot requirement. So I think Wesleyville is interested in a few, but they're not going to take 25.
They're not going to take 25.
Right, exactly. So then our next option was, so it was $2 million to complete them. Then it was going to be, there's no vouchers and there's no money to do utilities, to do, maintenance, to do insurance, any of those things. Then on top of that, if they were for the homeless and they needed additional services, there's no ongoing funding and sustainability for that. So all of that together was going to be millions of dollars, which is why the county decided that this is not something that we can take on. Then, so I go talk to the municipalities. I didn't really get much traction with that. So we thought, okay, well, let's see if anybody else can use them, right? So we did this RFI, this request for information. Yeah. We had a number of organizations that came and looked at them so they could see what the state they're in. And from that, we have some organizations that are interested, again, in a few. So Habitat for Humanity has suggested they would like 3 to use them for garages because they actually provide a garage with every house.
And that could pass muster.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think we will be able to get a few of them in the summer out to places. How many that is, I'm not sure. I'm certain there's still going to be quite a few left there that we need to get into productive use in some form or fashion with other.
So you might be spending some of this
200,000
grand. Okay.
To move them, to get them facilitated to other places, whatever.
Wow.
Yeah.
So was it a boondoggle?
It was an idea without a plan. Okay. That I don't think was thought out in a way that could have been. It was never. I said this during the campaign. I don't know that it was a bad idea. It just it came to. It got further along before there was an understanding of what the requirements were.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that explains it. I tell you what, that kind of gives you a sick feeling in your stomach to have that kind of money wasted. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially when we do have a housing crisis.
Yes. And
I mean, again, this is how and a homeless crisis. This is how our citizens are, connecting the dots, right?
Right. And I understand that. And I sympathize with people who say, well, this is better than sleeping under the rain that's happening right now, right? Mm-hmm. Yes, it is. But you also you can't the county cannot be liable to have someone sleeping in a shed that doesn't have a floor, that doesn't have a bathroom, that doesn't have electricity. Then we're going to end up with lawsuits, right? So that doesn't work.
Wow. We'll have to leave it there.
Is that it?
Yes.
Were you done? All right.
I think
sorry.
we're done.
I feel like it's a terrible note.
No, this is what governing is all about. You make tough choices sometimes. You're not going to just demo them, though. No. They'll get you somewhere, but we'll see how that all works out.
So I will leave it with this. John DiMatteo has announced his retirement. He's been at the county forever. You should have John on.
We love John.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. Thank you, County Executive.